All right, what's good, y'all? We got another episode of Trailer Park Sports Network, and I can't lie to y'all. I definitely lied. I 100%. See, you know how the format I said I was gonna do it? Yeah, I kind of lied. Like I said I was gonna do puck, and then we're gonna go into this, we're gonna do into that. Yeah, I kind of switched up, and we're gonna do it like this. I have a co-host now, and I'm pretty hyped to bring him in. This is my dog. We've been talking sports for a year. Probably the only other niche sport warrior that I know. My dog Fizz.
What up, what up, what up? Hey, thank you, Will. Starters, thank you. Um, Call me Fizz. My name's Riley. Do whatever you want with that. Just a dude, like to talk about sports out of Ohio, as you can see. Um, and yeah, just somebody who loves sports, all sports. Started out with football, basketball, baseball, turned into hockey, lacrosse now, thanks to Will, curling, bobsled, all of them. But today we're here to talk about college football, as you can see the flag behind me and everything crazy that's happened. So, Will, I'll let you start. Thank you again for getting me on the show. This is a dream of mine to talk about sports to the world. So, shout out to you for that.
Dude, it's been a little hectic. It's the college football playoff has kind of, I understand they were there, oh, I don't want this team in the first round, the whole JMU and then putting Tulane in and Alabama finding a way to sneak their way in. It is what it is, and people were kind of complaining about that. But the playoff is kind of played out pretty well. We've got four teams in the semifinals that are sitting there that these four teams haven't been there. These four teams have never been to the college football semifinals. And whenever you look at it, like, dude, Indiana has an opportunity to win their first ever national title. Oregon has a chance to win their first national title. Ole Miss will be able to win their first outright national title because all of their championships are claimed. And then
It was one and
Miami,
it was a half with Minnesota in 1960.
yeah, right. So like that's a minute ago. That's a
Yeah.
big minute ago. Like the people they're like first ever like outright, we own this title. We won, we did the whole thing, we did it. And then you've got Miami trying to return themselves to glory. They had their runs back in the day, as you know, way better than I do. I'm only 24, so I didn't get to witness any of the like Miami runs, but this
I got to see the end of that era. I started watching around 99, 2000, and I was just locked in with Ohio State. But I saw us
that
beat them
rematch
in the
this weekend,
championship.
yeah.
We can, if we want to start there, that's probably what we got to do. But to what you said, first round, say what you want about it, whatever. But it gave us the second round we wanted. Like this is the second round we everybody wanted. It was a great round of games, whether or not the games played out how we wanted them
Three
to.
out of four. 3 out of 4 were good.
But even still, like even the Oregon Texas Tech game, like
Well, I'm talking about
wasn't the prettiest game, but it's
it's
still the matchup you wanted.
three out
Like
of four. That was not a terrible one. That
the first
Rose
half was
Bowl,
close. It was ugly.
that Rose
Oof.
Bowl that we had was, and you guys know I'm from North Alabama. I'll always roll with the Tide, but that's the most disgusting game of football I've ever watched Alabama play. So
Yeah,
we
and I've been
three out of the
telling you
four
all
were good.
year, Indiana, man, like they surprised me too. But that defensive line will put you into pressure that you're not ready for.
And
Like
it's
realistically,
it's the same thing that Miami did to y'all, like
exactly, exactly.
looping back to going to these games in order. That what Miami did to y'all was like pure dominance in the front seven. And
Yeah,
honestly, just mostly just the front four. They didn't even need
they
their linebacker. They didn't have to bring they didn't really need to blitz to get pressures. They were sitting there getting pressures with four people.
It was
And
forward and it was stunts and like pull arounds and whatnot, and we just weren't ready for it. Indiana did similar to us, and we did that in the Big Ten championship, and that worked out the same way, where they got pressure on Sand, and he proved that when he didn't have as much time in the pocket, he couldn't find the reads as quickly. He had a couple open guys at different points, but just I think that internal clock in his head was shorter, and he was constantly worried about pressure and moving around before like looking downfield.
dude,
And that proved to be an issue.
as soon as his internal clock got sped up, you could tell like there was a little something off with that offense. They had to establish the run game. That was probably one of the most impressive drives coming out at halftime, sitting there and being
Yep.
like, "Hey, we're not going to abandon who we are and what we are. We are going to still play a physical game of football, and we're going to try and run the ball so that we can pass the ball and set up our play action." And they did that. They
They
had
did
a beautiful drive to end or to start the half, and then
7.5 minutes, drove down the field, put it in, did exactly what you wanted, and then got the ball back, scored again. Like
the only thing that was scary about that was the first points in what's you said 77 minutes ish.
since the first half of Indiana, we didn't score in the
Yeah.
second half of the Indiana game or the
Yep.
first half of that game,
Yep.
which
A full game of
with
football. You didn't score since it was like 6-ish minutes left in the second quarter against Indiana until what six or it was like
seven and a
eight
half
minutes.
minutes into
Yeah.
the second half. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which again, good on those defenses because we have two first round wide receivers on the outside. Like, and a quarterback that's thrown a completion percentage that's astronomical. For whatever reason, he might have done it, whether it's his receivers or bad teams he played, whatever it is, it's still impressive. So for those defenses to be able to come out and like specifically Miami and just make him uncomfortable, and they really played good defense on the outside too. Like they locked down Jeremiah Smith. They didn't let him get past him. The few opportunities where we had somebody open, they were in Sain's face, just shutting him down. Um,
And they didn't get
and
rattled.
no, they didn't. They didn't at all. Like at the end of the game when they needed to close it out, it's like 3rd and 3. Boom, they got 5 yards. Did what they needed to do. And we just didn't. We weren't tested all year. Like at the end of games, we never had to go into a fourth quarter, like, all right, got except for Indiana, and we didn't pull that out. So it proved at the end like they were tested and we hadn't been, and they did it. Shout out to Miami. You guys played a hell of a fucking football game.
Dude.
Still love the Buckeyes. Had a great season. Can't take it away. It's painful. I'll get into this real quick as a Buckeye fan. Never in a season have I thought we're the best team and we should win the national title. I've seen three in my life, and every single one of them, they were never, we were a 14-point underdog against Miami back in 02, 03. The second one, we were never supposed to beat that Alabama football team. We weren't, they didn't want us in the first four team. Like the Big 12 team was supposed to make it over us. And we snuck in there and we went and won that. And then even last year, we went as the 8 seed, lost to Michigan. Uh, Everybody kind of probably counted us out for the most part. And this is the first year where I'm like, we're the best team in college football, I think. And um, that makes it hurt a little bit worse. The hope and the expectation makes everything hurt a little bit more. And I said after like week 2, 3, or 4, I told you back then, like Miami is the team I don't want to see. And I'd kind of thrown that thought away for weeks. I didn't think they were going to make it. And then even if they were, I was like, well, okay. I seen them start to fumble a lot. And now they just held it together and they did what they needed to do. Good on
Like
Miami. Buckeyes, still love you. We'll be back.
I somewhat counted them out. I'd counted Miami out at one point after you lose to Louisville and then you go lose to SMU and you think
Hmm.
like, dude, the only team in the country that looks like purely dominant right now is that Ohio State team because of that defense. And I think a little bit of it is I think the name. We kind of bought into the name a little bit
Yep.
and kind of forgot like, yo, regardless of the fact that it's frickin' Indiana, that Indiana team is over there slowly putting together an insane run. They're not just like, to quote Kurt Signetti, they're not just beating top 25 teams, they're beating the shit out of them. And that's what he was doing. So I think a lot of us kind of just bought into the hype with like, this is the Ohio State. They're the defending national champions. And when you're the defending national champions, we're gonna give you a little bit of extra credit because it's like, yo, y'all just went and won it. And until you get knocked off, you are going to be the person that we think is the favorite to go win it again. And it just turns out that Miami team was hungry.
They were.
And
They
that
were.
they had a front seven that they really wanted to win that game. They wanted to prove a point. They wanted to show that we are dominant. We have guys that are really good, and Ruben Bain has definitely felt disrespected over the past month, especially with what they said over there at Texas A&M, saying like, "Oh, he's not a problem. He's not going to do anything." And you kind of had like the Ohio State fan base was like, "Ah, we're not really worried about Ruben
Yeah,
Bain.
we weren't worried about anything about Miami realistically.
We'll beat Miami."
Malachi
Yeah,
Tony was the only name I was worried about, and we shut him down.
yeah.
Like realistically.
He wasn't even the like thing you had to be worried about. It was that running back. It was
No.
their running back and like Carson Beck's just decision making. He didn't have like a legacy game or anything. He just
He didn't make
distributed the
mistakes.
football.
We were watching the game waiting for him to make his mistake. Like,
And he didn't.
is he going to throw a pick or two? And he didn't. He played the game he needed to play. No disrespect to him, but like kind of a game manager type thing. I don't need you to go win me the game. I just need you not to lose it.
Just be a point guard.
And
Be
the last thing
Mendoza.
I want to say about it is it reminded me a lot of the 0-2 game between us two, except flipped. We came in as the favorite. We came in as this team shouldn't lose this. We have athletes all over that probably outmatched theirs. And they came in and they played a physical football game and they shook us up and we weren't able to recover. Obviously some differences, but watched very early on, I was like, we feel like Miami then. Some early on, we were gang tackling, looked physical, and we wore down quick. And they didn't. They just kept fighting all 4 quarters.
And like I said earlier, they just didn't get rattled. Even whenever you went up top to Jeremiah Smith, he got that 50-yard catch, right? Couple plays later, they take a pick six back.
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? You guys fight back. It's 14-17. They never got rattled. They were never like, oh
Mhm.
crap, we just gave up a couple of quick tugs. Like, dude, they're fighting back. They didn't look scared on the sideline. That sideline had energy. That sideline sat that looked and it feels so crazy to say this, especially after they lost the game to Louisville and they lost the game to SMU. That looked like a championship team, like all the way through at all three facets of the game. They looked like they could go win a championship. But that's all I'm going to say about that one. We got other games to get into. We
It's
had
funny
the
because I thought you were going to bring it up because everybody thought Ohio State should have won name brand, everything. And that's exactly what I heard a lot about the Alabama game. If we want to get into that one next,
yeah,
you being a
like
Bama fan.
everybody wanted
Um,
to talk about the we're Alabama, well, they've never played a team like us. We're this and that, and like this is an Indiana team that came in and was like, we're gonna prove a point. We're gonna prove a point, and something that is like mad impressive to me about what Kurt Signetti has done. And me and you have had this conversation before. He took a bunch of 2 and 3 stars and ran the Big Ten in 2 years. Like
which
that
I told
blows
you
my
is
mind.
it's actually scary because
Like the thing to me about Kurt Signetti that I really like before we like really get into what happened in this game and how embarrassing of a loss that was for Alabama. Um, the thing about Kurt Signetti is that he is probably the best evaluator of talent that I've ever seen. It's not just the fact that like he's doing what he's doing as a head coach. He's doing it with a bunch of dudes that are rejects and well, Alabama didn't want him. Mississippi State didn't the SEC schools didn't want him. That most of the Big Ten didn't want him, and they ended up at Indiana, and they're some freaking dogs. And it purely proves the point that I've been like screaming for years. Stars do not matter. If you got it, you got it. If you're that guy, you're that guy. It's simple as that. And there's way too many people that don't want to think that way. They're just like, oh, the stars are this, the stars are that. And I think we've gotten into an era where schools like Alabama are recruiting based off stars. They're not fully try like they are evaluating talent, but I don't think they're evaluating talent the same way a guy like Kurt Signetti is because he sat there and found a bunch of diamonds in the rough and put them through hell and built and molded a championship team.
yeah.
And that's just not something that you're seeing because everybody is going after, well, like, I need to get as many 5 stars as I can so I can have the number one class. Man, Kurt Signetti don't give a damn about a number one class.
Well, and you've put me on to recruiting because I'm not like as in tune with high school recruiting as some people might be. And like you said, there's only a certain number of 5 stars that they even allow.
Hmm?
So you could have one year where it's like we have 100 guys that are worthy of being 5 stars, but we only allow like 40 or 50 or whatever the number is. Then you might have years where it's like there's only 20 guys that are worth being a 5 star, but we got to get 40
We
of
have
them.
there's a yeah.
And then how many high school football players are there? Like 500,000? Are they
You know what I
all
mean?
getting evaluated? Like, are we evaluating football all over? We go
And
to the
mind
hubs
you,
that we have.
Trinidad Chambliss was unranked coming out of high school.
Ferris State, and he went to Ferris State. I don't know anybody who's watched Ferris State football before Lane Kiffin. Like, no disrespect to Ferris State, but like realistically, who would have thought to get a quarterback out of a Ferris State? Like you hear about JUCOs, and
Yeah.
that's a whole different thing.
Like if,
But
if it's another one of those, I gotta give Lane Kiffin his credit right there. Before again, I know we gotta get
yeah,
into the game,
we're
like,
getting way too off track.
but
Um,
I gotta give credit to Lane Kiffin for being an evaluator of like quarterback talent and wide
yep.
receiver talent because he found a guy like Trinidad Chambliss who is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I personally don't know how he wasn't higher up in the Heisman conversation. I really don't.
It's probably the fact that he didn't start the first couple games. So was it 3 games?
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt his stats. And I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me to know exactly what they are. But I know that if you miss 3 games, that's going to hurt
Yeah.
your production. And unfortunately, it's a lot of times it's a numbers game.
And
So that's
you want to
just
hear
how
a
it
number?
goes. Let me hear it.
When hear 38-3. That's what Alabama lost to Indiana in this Rose
Oh
Bowl. And
yeah.
like as an Alabama fan going into that game, like wholeheartedly, I knew Alabama was going to lose that game. They were far too inconsistent of a football team and had far too many flaws as a football team to overcome a game like that. You're not going to win a game like that. You're just not.
Even in the
And that
same game, they're inconsistent.
yeah,
Like the Oklahoma game, if you look from the second quarter on, you're like, oh, this is a great football team. But if you watch that first quarter, like what was going on there? Like what happened?
you have no idea.
And the
It's
past,
like
and like not to bring up past, but like last year you played Georgia, like the best first half of football that you've seen all year, and then one of the worst second halves you locked in at the end. But
yeah.
like you said, inconsistency is not something you're used to watching Alabama. Definitely not something I've been used to from the
Nah.
outside watching them. But it's a new
It's
era of
just
football, baby.
it's a new era of football, and it's
Welcome to the
honestly
show, Indiana. Welcome to the
like
show.
is as weird as it is to like be an Alabama fan and watch an Alabama team that looks like this. It's honestly nice to see because we've ran college football for so long, and I'll be one to say this, and I know other SEC fans won't be ones to say this. The SEC is rode on the coattails of Alabama, LSU, the 2 years that Florida was good, like elite good, and then like the 2010 Auburn championship. The entire 16 teams in the SEC. I mean, I know, well, I guess 14
What
because
is it?
Oklahoma and Texas came through after. So the 14 teams in the SEC have been riding on the coattails of Alabama, Georgia, like the top of the SEC. And now that the top of the SEC is at a level playing field with the rest of the country, there is no coattails to ride on anymore. And
No,
the SEC fandom has no idea how to feel about Alabama losing to Indiana by 35 points. They can't fathom that. And they're making it like and they're still gonna talk about, oh well, the SEC is still dominant. It's just Alabama that's falling off. And it's like, dude, the SEC is not as dominant as it was. The talent has been dispersed, and we're going to continue to see teams across the board just get better, like all over the country. And it's a new era of college football, and it's going to be really, really fun. Gone are the days as an Alabama fan where you wake up and you're just like, oh yeah, we're going to win this game. It's like, yo, you got to watch the whole 4 quarters. Like
no,
there was a time when I
yeah,
was a kid, I'd wake up and it's like, cool, I'm gonna watch the first half and then go play football with the homies.
yeah,
Like I didn't have to watch the second half of football games, even if it was like, oh, we're playing Tennessee this week. Man, I don't even care. Like I'm not even gonna watch the game, dog. I don't care.
no.
You know what I mean? But like
Um,
now, you got to watch every single game. You got to watch all 4 quarters, and this is what college football is supposed to be. College football is truly at a point now where it's any given Saturday.
yeah,
Anybody can lose to anybody on any given Saturday, and that's what I love about it. And that's why
yeah,
that Georgia and Ole Miss game was so amazing to me. This was a game that we rolled into where everybody was saying, "Well, Georgia already beat them once. They've gotten significantly better throughout the season. They're just gonna steamroll them again, bro. They're just gonna roll them again. Like this is an Ole Miss team. They're an Ole Miss team without a head coach. Like, yeah, they've got Pete Golding as their head coach now, but this isn't the head coach that got them this far. There was a lot of like narratives going around that game, and Ole Miss just said, "We're like any given Saturday, dog. I mean, I know it wasn't a Saturday, but any given night,
yeah, yeah.
like we
And
we can
mind
play."
you, and I told you, and I talked to a few other friends about it. Like everybody, Georgia already beat them once, and they beat them by 8 points. So you hear that, and you're like, okay. Ole Miss had the lead in the fourth quarter. Like
Double
Ole
digit lead.
Miss was leading that football game majority of the game, I would say. I'd have to go back and look at the box score. I know it went a little back and forth, but Ole Miss was leading that football game at the end, and they didn't score a point in the fourth quarter, which good on Georgia's defense for making that happen. But it wasn't like Georgia blew them out of the water, and Georgia did get better as the year went on, but Ole Miss didn't get any worse. Like Ole Miss continued to play great football all year. They did lose their head coach, and I was worried about that. But also, sometimes there's moments that happen where a team will rally. And that was something where it's the team's either going to rally and they're gonna do something big, or they were gonna look scary against Tulane and then go get beat by Georgia. And they did neither of those things. They came in, Pete Golding took over. I don't know much about him, a little bit more because he's down south. I think he was a Bama assistant at some point. Um, but he came in, he's looked good. He's kept the team going. I don't think he's calling their offense. He's a defensive guy, if I remember
Is a
correctly.
DC.
Um, but he's got the guys rallying around and they're still playing and nobody's left yet. Transfer portal's open. I don't know how long it's open, but like
They
it's a small
have
window.
officially this morning lost their backup quarterback. So that
Did they?
is that I mean, and that was, if we're being honest here, that was a given just with everything that was going on with Trinidad, because
Yeah.
I think he's trying to get a waiver to be able to play next year. If he does get that waiver, it fully makes sense that Austin Simmons decided to leave.
Yeah.
But this is an Ole Miss team that came in with a point to prove, and I feel like the main point that they have to prove is, and pardon my French here, fuck Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Like the point that they have to prove is fuck Lane Kiffin, and we are gonna go like Lane. Cool, you got us all the way
He
here.
he
We're
did
gonna
get
get
in
the job
there.
done without you, and
Yeah.
I'll give him full credit. You recruited that team, you got them there, and like that's a staff that you built. And over your tenure at Ole Miss, you have done things that nobody else at Ole Miss has been able to do, and I will give him full credit for that.
You
He's
can
a
make an
dick for
argument
leaving
that
the way that he left
yeah, he is. And you can make an argument that he is the best coach. Like
to ever come through.
win loss percentage, there might be one that has a higher win percentage. Um, but he's up there. And yeah, he did probably leave in the worst way. I want to know how long he knew he was going to be gone.
That's the
Uh,
thing for me, man.
and we'll never know. And like that's not for us to decide and debate, but it seemed froggy. But hey, Ole Miss didn't give up. They still fight.
And but on that Georgia side, man, that is still a damn good Georgia team. Them dogs is still hell. It was a generational performance by Trinidad Chambliss. There he sat like he willed his team to that win.
Yeah, it
And
turns out Kirby Smart's still a good coach.
yeah,
Whether
that
they won or lost, he's still a
his
great
second
coach.
half adjustments were still really good.
Yeah,
And I will say this till the day I die. He's the best second half coach in college football. But there was a couple of decisions that he made in the second half yesterday that just made no sense. You gifted them a touchdown.
yeah,
There's no reason for you to go for it inside your own territory on a team that can't drop. Like, yeah, they had a couple of drives all the way down the field. It took Trinidad Chambliss like scrambling around and making some crazy throws to do that. Dude,
yes.
force them to go the length of the football field. You're
Also,
still Georgia.
Keywan Lacey was running the ball very well too. That was their best move was running the football.
Yep. It wore that Georgia defense down, and by the end of the game, that last throw, they sat there and said, "Look, man, we got to try and stop this run because they're able to run the football, and they thought they were going to run it, and he boom, step back through it, slot fade, absolutely beautiful throw. Feel bad for number 15 for Georgia because he
Yeah,
got
he's gonna
picked
get
on.
it.
He got picked on a couple of times, and you could honestly say it cost him the game because that touchdown that they scored, that was on him.
Yep.
After that, and then boom, they went up top on him to basically seal it.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, they sold out on the run, but it was third down. They were at was it the 40 or the 30 on the other side of the field, under a minute.
I
I
just
don't
don't get
know
why
why
they're
they
in
didn't have
man.
guys by. Why didn't they
Well,
have
I just
guys
don't get why they're
back?
in man. Well, I just don't get why they're in like. I kind of understand why they were in man because you're playing the run, so you're
But
like,
I don't remember correctly. They didn't have two high safeties,
no, they had
and
single high. They had
and
single high right there, and the safety didn't get over.
and the only way you lose that game is if Chambliss throws a 40-yard ball to put him in field goal range.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he
Like
did.
at that point, it felt like Ole Miss was playing for the tie with how
Playing
they
for
had ran the
overtime.
football.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, which I thought was crazy at first. And I was like, why aren't they making an effort for it?
And then boom.
And
As
then
soon as you thought that they weren't going to do it, they boom, went up top.
I thought they were going to run it too because it was like, all right, try to force Georgia to call a timeout, waste one, and then give them the ball back and hope you take it to OT.
Yeah.
And that's another call by
They
whoever their OC was, whoever made that decision to say, hey, no, let's go for it. Um,
That's a ballsy call. That's gutsy as hell, and that is a like beautiful execution by Trinidad Chambliss.
And
That's
shout out to the
beautiful.
kicker on Ole Miss because
You didn't have a
watch a lot
college
of
kicker
college
moment.
football, and college football kickers are very questionable, very scary. As a Buckeye fan, I know all about scary kickers in the past 5 years.
Yeah, we
Um,
did not get ourselves a college kicker moment, and
mm,
that was huge.
yeah. And he banged, I think, was it three that were over 50 yards, or at least
Yeah,
two of them?
I think too.
But yeah, good on him. And then on the last one where the pressure was on him, you needed it more than anything. That's where you see kickers. That's where you find out if this guy's got it or not.
Down the freaking pipe too. Down the
Um,
no doubt. No
yeah,
doubter. It wasn't like, oh, was it hooking? No, straight down the freaking pipe, down Main Street. That was awesome. And
yeah,
like, as a, SEC guy, there's definitely a piece of me that thought that Georgia was the last team in the SEC that has a genuine chance to go in the national championship because there the fact of the matter here is that there is going to be transfers from that Ole Miss team to LSU.
yeah. It's just which ones and how important are they going to be?
And there's also going to be a turnover with that staff where there is a possibility some people from that staff have to jump ship now and go over to Louisiana State University.
Well, didn't Lane already
That's
tell them if they weren't on the first plane out, they can't go? So
Yeah,
maybe,
but they like that was a whole thing. But the AD at Ole Miss was cool with his assistants coaching, but they were pissed about Lane because like something that I guess a lot of people outside of the South don't know is that is those two's biggest rival.
yeah,
LSU and Ole Miss hate each other. So that's like an Ohio State coach
going
end
to
of the
Michigan.
season going being like, yo, I'm gonna go coach at Michigan. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm not letting you coach. Hell no.
No, no.
Hell
Why would
no.
I? No.
Yeah.
And you like, even if you do have good intentions, like you're still trying to recruit for your next school, you're still worrying about your next roster. So you have one foot out the door, as they say. So even if you do want to win for your current team,
You still gotta
um,
recruit.
you still
You're
like
recruiting for somebody else.
your mind can't be fully in it for either
You're
of the teams.
you're recruiting new players. You're re-recruiting the players that are already on that roster. You're trying to find a staff, dude. Like,
And if I'm LSU's like athletic director, I'm paying you a bunch of money. I can't have you messing around over there right now. Like this is an important time in college football to like recruiting, transfers. Like I don't have time for you to be over there coaching for a team you're not going to be on next year.
exactly. Like,
But
dude,
also the Ole Miss athletic director, I heard that he, I think doubled everybody's pay. All the coaches that decided to stay. It might not have been doubled, maybe, but he
like
gave them all a raise.
he
Like
for
if you
sure gave a
stay, you get
bonus
a
to
raise,
everybody.
which good on him for try to stay in the fight and keep those guys around.
Man, and the last game of the weekend to get into is that
That
I'll call
beautiful,
it a
beautiful
defensive
defensive
slugfest.
mastermind. Yeah, it was.
I'll call it a slugfest because like as much as people want to dunk on Texas Tech for not for being, getting shut out in the quarterfinals and, saying that they're fraudulent, the only thing that was fraudulent about the team was their offense. And it really wasn't even like their entire offense. They had a couple of opportunities. It was really just like Morton. Like
Yeah,
unfortunately, Morton is not a good quarterback. 18 to
he
32, two interceptions.
yeah he didn't have a good game at all. Couple fumbles as well.
He only threw
That
for
was a
137. Like
like
it's
you said, two interceptions. I know that definitely recall one fumble that was lost. Um, he might have had another one. It was a sloppy game. Even Oregon had a sloppy, like you remember the handoff where the
Yep.
quarterback just lost the ball on a play action handoff and took like a 20-yard loss. Very sloppy on offense, but also the defenses did everything they needed to do. Even when um, like Oregon went out, played good defense, and they got a turnover on Tech, got the ball back in their own half. Tech held strong on defense and forced a field goal.
Like
Um,
two things can be true about the game is that the offenses did look terrible, but those defenses also are a good reason that those offenses looked terrible yesterday.
At this point in the season, like Texas Tech has played some good offense this year. And like if you want to say the Big 12 defenses aren't this or aren't that, that's whatever. But they've put up points all year. So like they've shown to have it. Um, so at this point in the year, it's like these offenses aren't bad. A lot of times, if you have a good offense, you can run into a better defense. And a great defense can make a good offense look bad. And I think that could have been what we saw. And even though I don't know if anybody thought Oregon had a great defense going into that, as a Big Ten fan, I didn't consider them a great defense. Like they're good, but Oregon's always known as like they're a high-powered
offensive.
offense,
Yeah.
speed team. Um, so that was impressive to me. That was more impressive than anything to me. Their rematch against Indiana should be fun.
Oh man,
Um,
that's gonna be a good one.
Hopefully Dan Lanning starts taking some of those points and not leaving a bunch of
You
points on the board.
you like Dan Lanning was it's okay to leave point. I mean, it's chill to leave points on the board in a game like that when it's a defensive slugfest and nobody's able to score nobody's
When
scoring
the
points.
game
But
ends 23-0, yeah, the points left on the board don't matter. But if you
yeah,
take two field goals and just don't kick them against Indiana and you lose that game 13-10, now we're having a different conversation. So we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see. And it depends on the
yeah,
flow of the game. We'll see how that goes, but
yeah.
that's for
And
another time.
there's a, I mean, we can get into the semis, but.
We can do a little prediction.
There's a piece of me that feels like the Indiana Oregon rematch that we're gonna have. I think that could get sloppy.
I do
I
too.
honestly, I think there's a like I Oregon is a very good football team. They have definitely gotten better as the years gone on. In that first matchup, Dante Moore didn't look amazing. Yeah,
Mm.
he definitely made a few mistakes in that game, but Mendoza also made a couple of mistakes in that game that he would definitely not make right now.
Yeah, there
And
wasn't a fourth quarter pick six he threw in that game. I think did both teams score 30 plus? I don't remember the exact number.
mm,
But I
yes.
think they were both in the 30s in that game, and I don't know if I see that happening again after what I just saw the past couple weeks. I don't see that game being in the 30s again.
30-20 first time they played against each other. But
It was 30-20. Okay, okay, that I could see that. I could see
I
that.
I think it's an interesting looking game to me because I feel like there's a genuine chance that Indiana just goes into that one and blows the doors off them.
They look like the only team that has the ability to blow everybody out right now. I
It's
think they're probably the favorite, but I don't think they're an unbeatable team, but the way they played the past couple weeks, that defense, they held Ohio State to 10 and Bama to 3. Like, if we want to go back through the history, like two of the most storied programs in the past 20 years.
back
Um,
to back.
and yeah, back-to-back weeks with the 20 Ohio State, we're
Like
talking
that.
about we don't want a 25 days off. Like that hurt us. Indiana said we take 25 days off, whatever.
We'll still beat the hell out of
We'll
anybody.
put up 30 plus against Bama and we'll hold them to 3. And the 3 I think was scored in the fourth quarter. Like you
Three
got
was scored in the fourth quarter,
that was
and
almost
Kurt
a
Signetti
shutout.
looked pissed. Like that's the thing about it to me is
He's
that
locked in.
like
He's
you
locked all the way in.
like Dan Lanning had a little bit of like a smile on his face. He was happy and stuff and like was showing a little bit of emotion. Kurt Signetti was up 35 points in the fourth quarter and looked pissed. He didn't look
Unamused.
satisfied with anything. He didn't look happy, obviously in the post games and stuff, but like when you watch the bowl, like whenever they're handing out the trophy and stuff, he looks like he's ready to go back, get in the damn locker room, give his post game speech, fly back to Indiana, and start game planning.
He got into that Kobe bag. Job's not done yet.
Job's not done.
Is the job done
Job's
yet?
not done. Job's not done.
My favorite
And
moment
that's
from that game was when Alabama tried to psych him out. They were like in a shotgun, and then Simpson came up to the line real quick, and they tried to hit him with a cute couple fakes. And good on that Indiana line for not moving. They were locked in, and the whole time Kurt Cignetti's just blank. Nobody flinched.
it's
No,
just
on the
like, dude,
defense and the
it's like,
coaching
dude, do you
staff,
really like
they're prepared. That team is prepared. And as a Northerner, you said earlier, you couldn't fathom Alabama losing to Indiana by 35. As a Northerner who's been watching Indiana play football for the past 25 years, I could not fathom Indiana playing a game like that. I did think they were going to win that game, and no part of my mind did I think they were going to win by 35. Um, so, I mean, yeah,
it's
they look
it's
scary. They look
it's
scary. They're
that
on a
new
mission.
era and like, maybe it's just crazy as hell to say this, but it just reminds me of like 2013 Florida State, uh
Yeah,
that
the Jameis team.
2012 Alabama, I would say 2020 or 2019 like LSU. It's just like a team that's like they're on a mission and they're not losing.
It almost feels like they're destined. Like I hate to bring like
It
destiny
feels
into
like
it, but everything leading up, they feel destined. They were, I think, coming
they're
into this
battle
year,
tested.
they were still the worst college football team of all time based on like win percentage. They've eventually overcame that. They're probably now in like the bottom 10, maybe. I don't know where they're at
Yeah.
now, but they're undefeated. Like you said, they're battle tested. As soon as they beat Oregon earlier in the year, as immediately when I was on to Curt Cignetti. Going into that game, I remember saying, he didn't do it against Ohio State and Notre Dame, and everybody ragged on him for that. And I said, if he's a great coach, like he's seeming to be, because he turned around Indiana in a year, he's going to learn from those games and he's going to make the adjustments he needs and he's going to learn how to lock in. And he did that when they played Oregon the first time. And then he proved it again against Ohio State and now against Alabama. And he's locked in, his team's locked in. I think it's going to take a masterclass from Oregon to win that game.
It's gonna take the
Because
cleanest game.
I told you, I've talked to you about this in the past. I thought the only way that Ohio State would lose is if they beat themselves, and whether they did or not, that's a different conversation. I can tell you, Indiana's not going to beat themselves. That's not going to happen. They're
They're
not
too
going to make the
disciplined.
mistakes. And every asset of the football, they are disciplined.
That's the
Um,
most disciplined football team I've seen in a very long
and
time.
even if Mendoza does make a mistake, he threw a pick six on the fourth. He turned around and then put together a drive to come back. Um,
Like he
like
he
was it the
he
Iowa
won the
game?
Heisman for a reason.
Was it the Iowa game where it looked like they were done, and he made an incredible throw to get him down the field. Um,
Penn
and he,
State too. They looked like
yep,
they were dead in the freaking water, and Mendoza leads them down on a game-winning drive. Like, and
yeah,
it's just like,
they're not
oh,
afraid, and they're not afraid of that moment
they're
when
they're
it's time
they're
to play
battle
them.
tested. They're truly battle tested, and I think that's the like I think Oregon has definitely been tested. I don't think they've been tested to the same extent as Indiana, and I think that's going to
Yeah,
be the main difference. They
yeah.
won't get rattled by anything.
Now,
They're
what do you?
unfazed.
Yeah, completely. Sorry to cut you off and move on. I have no idea what to think about this Ole Miss Miami game. I have no idea what to think about it.
It's a race
Um,
to, in my opinion, it's a race to like 20 points.
yeah, yeah, I could see it. Well, Miami's getting to 20 points because I don't know if that Ole Miss, I don't know if they can
That's
stop a
kind of why I
faucet.
feel like it's a. That's kind of why I feel like it's a little like that Ole Miss defense. They can play some damn defense, and the other than Malachi Tony, I'm not overly and like they also have a good backfield too, but I'm not
Run game.
overly impressed with that Miami offense. Like they can play offense, and they show
Yeah.
that they can do it. But y'all spotted them 7 points.
I was going to say they put 7 points up on defense, so they really scored 17.
Yeah, right.
But even
So
still, 17 is impressive. They
you
put
know
up
what I
10
mean.
against A&M in a very windy game. Like that was a hard place to throw the football, kick the football. There were missed
They
field goals by
definitely
both
yeah.
teams.
I mean,
Um,
but
but Ole
like
Miss's offense is definitely better than Miami's, but Miami's defense is better than offense.
yeah.
Ole Miss's offense. So
It's a race to like 20 25 points because I think whoever gets there first is going to win it.
yeah,
'Cause I
I could
don't
see
see that
that.
game being a shootout. I don't see
Do
that
you
game
think
being a
Ole
sh-
Miss can put up 35 against Miami's defense?
If they do, they win it. If
Yeah,
they can't, like if they have the ability to put up that many points, they're going to win it.
because I do
Because
see a world
I just don't see that Miami team scoring a bunch of points.
they can get to
Actually, let
24,
me say this. Let
25.
me say this. It's either a slugfest or a shootout.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't
Because
know if I
and the
see
only
Ole Miss.
reason
I
it's a
don't know if I see.
shootout is because that Miami is Miami can put up points on the Ole Miss defense, which is good,
Yeah,
but we watched them give up 34 points yesterday,
Ole Miss.
and
Yeah,
Georgia left points on the board.
yeah. They did. They did. And I think Ole Miss has had a few games where they let teams put up quite a few points, but they just score more.
There
Um,
was a like first half of the season they were like 52nd in the country when it came to points allowed. So like
yeah.
that's been and like historically speaking here, that's honestly been one of the issues with a Pete Golding defense and why I personally don't like Pete Golding because that kind of was one of the reasons the main reason Bryce Young doesn't have a national championship.
Yeah,
One of the reasons Bryce Young doesn't have a national championship, I'd definitely say your wide receiver one and wide receiver two tearing their ACL doesn't help. But this
yeah,
isn't
no.
about them. Like Pete Golding is a good defensive coordinator, but he gives up points. He's going to give up points. And
And you
I
would know
think
it
if
better
they
than me.
give up a lot of points to this
Does
Miami team, they're not gonna win it.
does he just try to go like blitz? Like does he blitz too much? Does he just like let his defense try to make plays and they don't make them? Like what is it?
It's just like an
Like
all-around scheme thing.
is it's weird to say that he's a great defensive coach, but he also gives up a lot of points.
Because like
Like
he finds ways to get those stops late in games,
yeah, yeah,
but there's a lot of times like they give up points.
yeah, yeah. And I mean
They
the
just
name of
give
the
up
game is to
points.
score more points. Like as John Madden says, the team who scores the most points is going to win the game. Um, So if I can, if you, I could let you score 35, but if I'm going to put up 40, that's at the end of the day all that matters. And that seems like the football they've been playing.
Like they gave up 35 to Arkansas,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
and they got into a freaking slugfest with Washington State at
Washington
one point
State,
this
yeah,
year.
and
So
Ole Miss. I was at home.
yeah,
Washington State had the ball at the end, and I
yeah.
guess that goes to what you were saying. They need to stop in the fourth quarter and got it. So,
Like they're
um,
they're a team that also I would say is relatively battle tested. I mean, I understand that LSU team had a fall off. They have talent and they beat that LSU team. And that was a pretty big it was a pretty big rivalry game.
yeah,
And
um,
they not beat an Oklahoma team that has a damn good defense.
a great
You know what I
defense, a
mean?
great
So
defense.
they've played against some good defenses this year, and obviously they beaten Georgia, played
And
Georgia twice.
to give them credit, they got into a slugfest with Georgia earlier in the year, or shootout, whatever, how you want to call it. They got into a good game with Georgia, and at the end of the game, they couldn't pull through. They played them again, got into a tough game with Georgia, had to make a play at the end. They made the play and they won it. So they've learned from their mistakes and figured out how to do it. I guess this will be one of those times of do we find out does defense win championships still? Um, so who do you have winning that game? If we want to just like I don't love making predictions because it's like I just like to
Dude,
watch the games and do it, but as just for
look,
fun,
look. I think I've got an Indiana Miami national championship. That I think that's what I've got here.
that's what honestly that's where I was leaning to.
Like, and it's not to count out Ole Miss. It really isn't. It's just that Miami defense is not to be played with. That
Yeah,
Miami defense is truly not to be played with. And I think that's a Miami team that they are going to lean on that offensive line. They are going to sit there and play a physical game. And I think by the middle of the fourth quarter, it's just going to be too much for Ole Miss to handle. And the physicality is just gonna like wear them down, kind of similar to what they did to y'all, where it's
yeah,
like at the end of the game, 3.5, 4 yards a carry,
yeah.
5 yards,
Yep. Then
five
you'll
yards.
gash one. My thing is for them, I think like Malachi Tony, he was quiet in the last game. I think he might be an impact player in this next one. And it seems obviously he's going to be an impact player. He's one of the
Just
best
watching
receivers
what
in the
Zachariah
country.
Branch did to him too, he's
Yeah.
a similar type of
He's
player to
gonna
that.
he's gonna get short yardage throws that he's gonna make plays on, and I think he's gonna get one deep too. So I think they are capable of putting up 24 to 28 on that Ole Miss defense, if not more, and they can hold Ole Miss to under 28. And uh, I'm a bit older than you, so I'm still under the old man adage of defense still wins championships. So give me the better defense over the better offense, seven
High-powered
days out the
offense
week.
is cool, but like when it comes to this time of the year, if you can't get stops, it's over with.
What do they say? The two things that travel in football are defense and the run game. So
Yep.
you got to be able to do those two things.
And you know what didn't travel for Alabama? The
The
defense
run
and the run
game.
game. The defense and the run game, them shits didn't travel. But
No.
that's just me throwing another jab at my football team. Indiana and Oregon, who you got?
I got Indiana. The first game was close, and maybe Oregon can keep it close again. Personally, I think Indiana's going to beat them by two scores, maybe like 10 points, maybe more. I don't think it'll be 35 again, but man, they just look too good. And like we said earlier, they're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't seem like, and if they do, they're going to bounce back from it immediately. Um, Oregon's got a good team. Their defense looked better this past week, but I don't know if they got enough. I don't know if they have enough on offense to be able to do it. Dante
Just don't-
Moore's he's looked all right, but that Indiana defense is just too good. And they've gotten better since the first time they played Oregon. They've gotten
And
better,
losing
and they've
this,
been
they
tested
lost a
more.
star defensive lineman and they didn't miss a step. They didn't
I might be
care.
wrong, but I think he might have been their best D, like because he was a D end, and he
Yeah,
might have been their best,
he
like.
was honestly their best defensive player and
And they
they didn't
didn't
miss
look
a
like, and
step.
yeah, it didn't look like he was gone at all. Like whoever replaced him, he filled right in. And again, that's kudos to Signetti. He's got the whole team locked in for the whole roster, and that's what championship teams are. As you know, you've watched quite a few championship teams in your day. I've seen a couple, and from top to bottom, you got to be ready to play no matter who's out.
Yeah.
So,
Like
and
it's
I
next
don't.
man up mentality.
It I got to look back, and this is bad on my part for not paying attention. The Cooper went out against Ohio State, and I don't know if he played in that last
Yep.
game.
Yep. A couple had himself a touchdown.
Okay,
Uh
okay. Yeah,
They
see, I
have, they
did
have
cut that.
two?
I did a disservice to football because I cut that game off about halfway through the third. And I
Dude,
was and
I watched the
even
full game
before,
because I'm a rock with
you
my
got to,
guys.
you got
I gotta
to.
rock with my guys, man. But like, I mean,
But yeah, Indiana, I
it's
think
a new
right now
era.
they look like the best team in football. It's a
It's the
new
new era. Like
it's
truly.
crazy. And let me say, as a Northerner, I've watched Big Ten football for 25 years, my whole life. Indiana's been basically what Vanderbilt was. Like, not to bring up outside stuff, but like I've Vanderbilt in the SEC was like they were the last. Like they were always last. They were never scary on your roster. Like you go into Vanderbilt and like usually when you go on the road in college football, no matter who you're playing, it can be tough. But those are like even Indiana and them and Vanderbilt were schools where you're like, nah, like two of the worst programs that you've seen. And they both of them turned it around. And like
Like
shout out to both those
the
coaches,
most
both those
ironic quote of all of last year was when Nick Saban went on game day and said the one place in the SEC that nobody's afraid to play at is Vanderbilt, and then Bama went in and lost to Vanderbilt.
and yeah, and now Vanderbilt is a legit program, and so is Indiana. And like you
I
said,
still would probably say
we're in
it's
a
not a
new
scary
world.
place to play.
No,
I still don't think
not yet. But that's you got to build off something.
they are renovating the stadium. It's gonna get bigger.
And they're going to get more fans in there.
Yeah,
Like they're in a good area. They're in Nashville. They got a nice campus. I've been out there once. It's smack dab in the middle of the city. It seems weird.
dude.
Like
Yeah,
you're driving through Nashville, and all of a sudden you see these prestigious looking buildings, and like
the,
it's an interesting spot. But they have the population in the area for it. They sell out Tennessee Titan games.
like
And
Vanderbilt
they
could be
love
on the
sports
come
down
up.
in the South. So
You know.
you can't have an atmosphere until you build it, and you got to build it starting from the bottom, and they're starting.
I mean, and then like you gave your perspective as a northerner, as a southerner, it's kind of like weird to sit here and like watch all of this play out because it's like the South is like ran the college football scene for so long, and honestly, like for me as a like taking out my Alabama bias, SEC bias, any of that, like as a football fan, this is the most beautiful thing to watch because it's like I was saying earlier, dude, it's any given Saturday.
Yep.
You gotta watch the games. You have no idea who's gonna beat who. I mean, freaking last year, Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you have you have a college football landscape that started to even itself out. And I know like the conversation around a lot of it is like as soon as everybody was legally allowed to pay players, the SEC kind of like fell apart. And like
Yeah.
I do think that is definitely true. That is definitely a piece of it. But I think the bigger piece is the transfer portal where you have a landscape of college football where up until the transfer portal started, the SEC was over recruiting like hell, and they were doing it on purpose. They were sitting there
Ohio
over
State could do the same thing. Yeah.
Ohio State
Yeah.
could over recruit like the top
You
teams
got
in the country.
you got three 5-star quarterbacks just waiting their turn, and they can't leave. They can't
They
go
can't do
anywhere.
anything. Like the
Um,
all the top schools in the country, like one of my arguments that I would say about like if you were to add NIL but not a portal is that you'd still kind of have the era of these big schools, the big name programs, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Florida, LSU, USC, Oregon, they'd still be sitting here hoarding talent because they still couldn't leave. They would just spend an insane bag on like this 5 star, this 5 star, this 5 star, this 5 star, and they'd still be locked in to have to sit for 3 years because if you want to leave, well, you lose a year of eligibility if you leave, and I don't want to do that.
yeah.
But when you add the transfer portal and the NIL, well, shoot, I'm finna go get a bag, and I don't have to sit out for a year.
I was gonna
It's a
say
win-win.
the losing the year of eligibility, like you hear it like that, and it doesn't seem like much. It's the not playing football for a year. Like
You don't play.
tell these athletes that they can't play football for a year. They're like, no,
No,
no.
no,
I'll just
I'm not doing that.
um. I do lean on the side where I would give more of the credit to NIL. I know they both go hand in hand. Um, but you're still seeing those top teams. Like Georgia still has top recruiting classes, Ohio
That's
State, LSU, Alabama, like
yeah.
the top teams are still recruiting as the top teams. But now like you got a team like Texas Tech that has money. Like Texas Tech isn't I don't know what the transfer portal looks like, but I know that they're
They're
bringing in people with
that's
money,
you know what I'm saying? Like
that
they're
oil money. A&M,
that's why I say they go hand in hand.
they do.
I definitely credit the portal a little bit more because obviously I know that NIL is huge. That is a gigantic part of like luring kids into the portal. But
Yeah.
you've got a lot of dudes that would dip anyway, whether they were
We
getting paid or not, because they're sitting here like, yo, I'm third string and the dude above me is a freshman.
I say that I think NIL means more, but then also Ohio State doesn't win a championship last year without the portal getting Will Howard and Caleb Downs.
I mean, and
Um,
obviously like giving them NIL money was definitely a part of getting
but they can
like
get you
getting
can get
them
paid. You can get paid
right,
anywhere. Caleb Downs is getting paid at Alabama. Like there's
right.
no problem with that.
You know what I mean?
But he
So
was able to leave.
yeah,
So
he was able to leave, right? And that's just I think the free movement part is a bigger piece of why the college football landscape is turning into what it is. I definitely think that being able to pay players, like everybody being able to do it, is definitely helping even out the landscape. But Kurt Signetti isn't one of those coaches that's dishing out insane amounts of money. He didn't get there because he's dishing out insane amounts of money. He got there because he went and pulled from the portal and got the guys that he wanted.
even
And
still, after what all they're doing now, Indiana's getting all this money for going on these playoff runs.
they're
I wonder
still not spending that much money.
how much of it's going in their basketball team though. Like Indiana's a basketball state. That's my next door neighbor, and it's kind of joking. Obviously, like they're gonna invest now in the football team more. Signetti convinced them to. They gave him a good paycheck. But yeah, in my head, it's like some of that money's going to that basketball team now, and their basketball program's coming back. But um,
Like
yeah,
I
it's an
like
interesting world.
and the reason I say what I say is because the schools that like everybody, like the SEC schools that people, are like, well, this team was paying folks under the table. This post these they're still spending the most of NIL. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? They're still getting number one classes regardless. You know what I
But
mean? Like they're still
now it's not the 5 star all the way down the roster.
yeah, it's just
And
y'all are pulling like three or four instead of 10 of them.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because the talent is being dispersed. And
And
I definitely think from the high school recruiting side, NIL, yeah, 100%.
yeah.
But
And to what you
the
said
portal
earlier,
pulling the portal pulling for me is honestly like just bigger because you're getting dudes that are game ready right now.
yeah,
And
that have
the
experience, that
development
have that.
system in high school isn't what it used the development system all the way through isn't what it
No,
used to be.
no.
So a lot of these freshmen just aren't game ready. So like yeah, they're getting a bag and like that is definitely helping like some of these schools like get their like a major point, a lot of people have like been missing lately is that there used to be like like 100 something point difference between like the first ranked class in the country and like the like 20th ranked class.
Yeah,
And like it's like a 40 point difference now.
yeah, that gap's all the way
Yeah.
closed. And it's getting closer as it goes. And now you're seeing teams in the back end like JMU, Tulane, and to your point earlier, a lot of times how much like do we overvalue these stars? You can have all the stars you want, but if you don't know how to coach and develop talent, um, those stars don't mean anything at the end of the day. So a lot of it still comes down to coaching
And
and
you know me,
development.
I love to quote old Saint Nick. That's my guy. I love old Saint Nick, but he said it doesn't matter if you're paying players if you're paying the wrong guys. It doesn't matter how much you're
Exactly.
paying them if you're paying the wrong guys. And like
Exactly.
I think you have a lot of these teams that are willing to shell out lots of money, but I honestly don't think it is. I honestly think you got a lot of teams that are paying too much for the wrong guys because at this point in time, I think the players have insane amounts of leverage, dog.
All this players own like they have all the
They run
leverage.
shit, dog.
They
Like
have the whole leverage, which I don't know if it's
Dude,
I
I'm
don't know
happy
if
they're getting paid. I'm
I'm
happy
happy
they're
they're
getting
getting
paid for
paid. I
sure.
was
It's
advocating
awesome.
for it. I didn't expect it to happen like this, and I don't know if it can continue
I
the
don't know if
way
there's
it
a way to
is.
fix it though.
I don't know.
Like
Like the like Pandora's box, it doesn't go back in the box. Like once
you
you open
can't.
Pandora's box, you can't
And
backtrack it.
like I've told you this before. I think the NCAA was kind of just like, we're gonna let y'all pay them, and we'll let you figure out the rest of it. It's not a me problem. It's not a me problem.
Yeah, and
You can
that's
figure it out. You got it.
well, because yeah, for so long the NCAA was stepping in the way of too long. Like when I heard NIL, the first thing I thought of was Todd Gurley got suspended back whatever year that was because he signed some autographs, um, like in a parking lot or something. And that's like when I heard NIL, I'm like, that's what you should be able to do. Like
That's what I
you
thought
put
it
my
was gonna
name on
be.
a jersey and you sell the jersey, I should get a small cut. I should get a cut of that.
I
I should be
I
able to go to a company and say, hey, do you guys need somebody to like I can record a commercial for you. That's what it of my first thought about it, that's what it was. And then you'd only have the top end guys, but now you're paying a full roster with no salary cap. Um, and it's now pay to play in a sense.
It's
Um,
pay to win
yeah.
in a way, but Kurt Cignetti's not doing it that
I
way,
was
and
gonna
that's
say
and like
I
that's
know that
and
Indiana's not
I think
paying as
that
much as
is I
Ohio
think
State.
maybe it's just because of Kurt is why I think that the portal is a tad bit more important than NIL.
Yeah.
It's because like NIL is one thing. It really it is a gigantic piece of the puzzle. It really is. But it's like if you can
But
go and pick and choose guys that have like played a couple of years of college football already, I get to evaluate their talent again. You get to reevaluate them because like, oh, maybe they were ranked this out of high school, but like let me look at them now.
and that
Let me
goes
look at
back
what
to
they
your
are.
point of evaluating and developing talent because he went out. I know he brought in a lot of transfers from JMU and Mendoza. He recruited. He got out
Out
of
of
Cal. Like
Cal.
he played at Cal for a couple of years or a year. But even still, if you would have told somebody like, "Hey, we're going to take JMU's team and add California's quarterback," they're going to go win a national championship. He's like, I does you
He's
can
like,
give me
hell
all the
no.
transfer report you want. You're not going to win with JMU with a UCal quarterback. Like,
And like
and
that's why I kind of like laugh it off when people say JMU didn't deserve to be in the playoff because like half of the freaking
yeah.
JMU team from a couple of years ago is about to go win a natty.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is a good point. And I kind of stand on the line of I'm not gonna use the word deserve because as the rules are written, they deserve to be there. Um, it's not the top 12. Like when I think about it, I want the 12 best teams, but that can get into other sticky situations where now you got things involved and
There's too much
then you
subjective criteria to say
to
12
what makes the
best
top
teams.
12,
Like
yeah.
cuz
And then at
like
the end of the day, like I mean, I grew up in an era where you didn't win a national championship. Like you could maybe get away with one loss and be a national champion, but you had to win all your games. So
we
like
lost three teams and somehow got in.
it's not crazy to me. Yeah, but that was yeah. We we don't have to get into
We
that.
lost three
We can do a whole episode on that because you know me. I as a northerner, I gave you shit
saying that we didn't deserve to
for
be
saying you
there.
didn't deserve it because in my mind, you guys were the number one team going in the SEC championship, and you can't like that's still something to be said about that. And like I said, we can get into that, but uh, yeah, I don't know. It's a new landscape, and it's
Dude,
fun,
it's a beautiful new landscape and like
and even though we're sitting here and both of our teams just went home, I think we're still excited for the last couple games, like for the future of college football. Still, like even with what it's at. We're always gonna
because
love it. I'm gonna speak for you. That was my first love was Ohio State football. I'm guessing your first love was Alabama football. So that's always gonna be there, and we're always gonna be here no matter what. So
like it's very weird to sit here as an Alabama fan, especially just because I know everybody in the country hates me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
in the country has been waiting on like the decline of the University of Alabama since like the start of it. I mean, I 2009, everybody was hyped about that one.
yeah,
We won it
because
when we went and won in
it was the first.
2011. It was like ah.
Okay, okay, and then you
And in
did it back to
2012,
back.
when once we won in 2012, like that's when
All
I
right,
started to notice there was a shift. Like even
all right,
like
we're
my
done.
friends
We're
from
done with
school,
this.
yeah, like everybody was like, "Oh, dude, I'm so tired, bro. I'm so tired." And then
You asked me when we're gonna get sick of Indiana. It'd be the same thing where it's like first one if they win their
it's like,
first,
dude,
oh,
yeah,
this is cool. Hell
it's
yeah,
like,
that's
dude,
awesome.
if they go dominate college football, like,
But
is
if they
that
do
gonna
it
be the next
again,
team that people are gonna
and
be like, dude, I don't want to see
and
this
then
anymore.
again, all right, I'm sick of them winning. And this is a fatigue. And um, I've called you spoiled for it, but like it's just what happens when you're a fan of a great team. That's what people do. People are going to hate on you. And like I've experienced it as a Buckeye fan, and my team doesn't even always win, but we're always a 10-win team. Like
Because you gotta like look.
a bad year is 10-2. We went 10-2 last year, and like you heard me, I was upset. Like I was upset about 10-2. You lost to Michigan, and you went 10-2. That's a bad year. And then we turned around and won a championship.
Like same thing over here. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we won 10 games. We lost to Florida State and Oklahoma.
You went 9-3 last year, and I bet there was conversations of, all right,
There
maybe
was around
DeBoer is not the
firing the
guy.
coach.
DeBoer is
I
not the
mean,
guy.
me
One year.
and you know me. I've had problems with Kane Womack the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, you have. You have.
That's been I've had problems with Kane Womack the whole
Which
time.
you
But
rightfully
like,
so, because you've never watched your Alabama team get out physicaled, and they did it week one against Florida State, and then you watch it again against Georgia, and then again against Indiana, and like,
and it wasn't just in those games. We got out physical in games that they won.
yeah, that's true. That's
They
true.
got out physical in games that they managed to win. And
For
like,
halves of them, like
yeah.
that goes back to their inconsistency too.
And just like I guess one last thing to get into before we wrap this thing up
Yeah, we're
is
we're
like,
we're straying off the path a
yeah,
bit.
hey man,
We could,
hey dog,
we could go on forever about college football.
we
That's what we do.
like
Uh,
that's just how it be, dog. But the landscape of college football evening itself out, and with the conferences doing what they do, I have a take, and I just think it's that like the college football playoff committee. I think they're overly biased towards a lot of shit, but I think one of their like bad biases is their like disres like I understand, dude, the Big 12 isn't really that good, but you're never gonna be able to judge like the full landscape of college football if you put an
mhm.
11 in like an 11 and 1 team in the Big 10 is top 10 all day.
Yeah.
An 11 and 1 team in the SEC is top 10 all day.
Well, what was
Like
Oregon ranked? Oregon was 11-1 in the Big Ten. They went as
yeah.
the 5
Five
seed.
seed, yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know, an 11 and 1 team in any other even in the ACC, I guarantee
Yeah.
an 11 and 1 ACC team probably would have been in the top 10 too. But you've got an 11 and 1 Big 12 team that got booted from the playoff because like they were sitting at 11 already, so they were
Yeah.
outside looking in the first
So
place.
those two automatic bids had to come in, and that's something
You got
that we
booted because
talked
of
about
that.
that people didn't remember. Like people are
It was
talking
it
about
was the thing that people were
BYU
kind of
got
being like,
kicked out, like
yeah,
BYU
they
got
were being
hurt, and it's
willingly obtuse to the fact that
those
like
11 and 12 seeds were always going to go
they were
to
always going to jump
the
them. They
automatic
had
bids
to
that we
win.
have.
They
Yeah.
had to win just because of where they were sitting. I will fully
And that,
say
but that goes to your point of why did they have to win? They were 11-1
exactly.
in a power conference. So like, why were we discrediting BYU?
You
Which
know, and I understand the Big 12 wasn't overly strong this year, but you can
not
say the
weak.
same thing
They're
about
not
the you
weak
can
by
but
any
like
means.
yeah, but shit, we're watching this bowl season. The SEC looked like it was dog shit this year.
Yeah, yeah. They've
And
been
like, you know what I mean? The SEC like as of right now,
through the playoffs and the bowl games.
as of right now, while we're recording this, Wake Forest is beating Mississippi State. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, it's a eight and
Mississippi
four.
State
It
got
went
the
five
five
and
and seven
seven, and they
invite
only
because
won one
somebody else
conference
dropped out.
game. Yeah, and Wake Forest is 8 and 4. But what SEC fans would say is, well, shit, our worst team would beat one of the best teams in any conference. Well, that's
Yeah.
not freaking true. And
That's the
maybe
problem. That's the problem up north. Is that's what we've been hearing for 20 years is that Ohio
it
State
means
would go in
more.
the SEC and go 6-6. Vanderbilt could come up to the Big Ten and go win 11 games. And it's like, come on, give us some credit. Like, but now we're starting to see like, hey,
Doesn't
maybe, and not to go too far off again, but like last year, all these conferences switched up. The Pac-12 also was discredited. A Pac-12 team came and won the Big Ten.
year one?
A Big 12 team went to the SEC and made it to the championship game. Who won the ACC?
Wait, you had a an American conference team go
Go
in
in the
and almost win the
ACC.
ACC.
And so like maybe we didn't give enough credit to all these conferences before, and we still aren't.
Like I get it, you know, why you would discredit this conference or this conference, but I honestly think the landscape of college football is a little bit more even than,
It's
you know, a
opened
lot of
up. The
people
field's
have.
opened up.
And even just like as a whole, even if you like kind of look back at it, I think the landscape of college football has been a lot more level than people think it is. It's just the top has been the top.
The top has always
The
been the
top is
top,
the top has been the top, but like
they've
after you
looked
get outside of
unbeatable.
that,
And now the top's not unbeatable
no,
anymore. And that's the
no.
thing. And not to switch sports, but we saw it in basketball too, where it's like your top three teams are going to win. But now it's the world where it's like your 12 team might beat your five team.
You have
And
no
that's
idea
what
what's
we're
gonna
looking
happen.
at in football is like you have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miami can go beat Ohio State. Indiana of all teams, I know they're one versus Alabama's, but like we talked about since what's the year that Alabama has seven championships, like
Since it
90,
was I think it was since 92, Bama has 7 championships.
Indiana has seven winning seasons
Yeah.
in that time. And it's changed and now they're even.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah,
It's
it's
the
exciting for
entire
football.
landscape is just flipped on its head and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like
ACC does need to fix their conference championship scenario because that
I think I
Duke
think the
being an
committee needs to,
8-5 conference champion
you know what I mean?
is
Is that's
while you have Miami representing them in like
the in the playoff. Because I
that's a
mean,
weird look. ACC fix that. They're not going to hear this, but ACC, if you hear me, fix that shit.
yeah, you might actually need to fix that. But I think the main thing that that like I was really trying to get across is like the conference bias just across the board
Yeah.
is just like it's bad
Is
because
there a way to fix that? Do we ever get to a
no,
world where that's fixed, or is it still
I
just the Big Ten and the SEC
I think so. I mean, I guess the only way to fix it is the Big
might
12 going and winning a championship.
or like
Not
Miami?
even just not
Is
even just like the
Miami if
AC,
Miami
because like
wins
the
it, does it
ACC
fix
is
the ACC?
respected. The ACC is respected. I think people are just like seeing this as this is a down year for the
Yeah.
ACC. Where
Yeah.
like Clemson,
The,
Clemson was somewhat disappointing. Florida State was disappointing because like they have teams in the conference that have always been hyped. You know what I
yeah.
mean, and have been good. But I think the big problem on the Big 12 side and why
They
they
lost
fully
the
get disrespected,
they
they
lost those
lost to two
two.
teams. They lost to two teams that have freaking won everything over there.
Yeah, yeah. And then
And it
Oklahoma State had the year they had
destabilized
because
all of college football.
Oklahoma State's typically a good
Yeah.
program out there, and they
But
fell off. So now
they've
we
fallen apart.
people aren't used to a world where Texas Tech might be a good team and BYU and Utah, um, and those teams are getting discredited. Um, I think they're damn good football teams, and we just
Yeah.
gotta. I guess they just gotta play more matchups against some of these big dogs and prove it. That's how you do it. You prove it on the field. That's the only way we can do it.
Yeah, that's the only way you got to play the football games.
Gotta
You
play.
got to play the games, like
That's why we play the game.
that's why we play the games. But dude, it kind of sucks. The Big 12 won't get its respect anymore because the two truly respected teams in the conference dipped went to the SEC. And like you said, you had a Big 12 team almost win the SEC year one. You had a Pac-12 team come in and win the Big 10 year one. You had an American Conference team almost win the ACC year one. Uh, uh, what else happened last year? I think those are the three big ones.
No, last year wasn't JMU's first year out of
In
because like
the
JMU
Sun
came up
Belt.
and started making a splash
Yeah. Well, JM,
from the FCS.
but
Like,
still, JMU came up and like damn near won the Sun Belt year one, didn't they?
yeah, yeah. I think they were co. They might have been co-champions in the Sun Belt
Yeah.
that year.
So like,
Um,
I think all of
like
this
you said,
conference
that
bias
playing
is
field is
just.
more even now.
I think all the conference bias is just like, well, if I'm in the North, I think my shit's the best. Well, if I'm in the South, I
Mhm.
think my shit's the best. Like every region thinks they're the
Oh
best, and
yeah,
like
that's just a pride thing. That's a
it,
pride ego.
it's always going to be a pride thing. But I think at this point, the way I see it, like, yeah, the top of the Big Ten is definitely the top of the country right now. But I think every single conference is relatively equal. And you look top to bottom,
Yeah,
I think every single
yeah. When you
conference
get to
is like,
those middle schools and those bottom
that's what I
schools,
want to see.
I don't think there's a difference.
That's
Yeah.
why we need an SEC Big Ten challenge in college football.
I've been trying to get on that. I'll push that to anybody who will listen. That we need to see those teams week 3 every year, SEC Big Ten
SEC
challenge.
Big Ten challenge, you just gotta,
Let's see where it means more. Let's see where it means more.
yeah. Last thing I'll say
Yes,
before I outro the thing, man. Bring back the Pac-12. Bring back
please.
regional conferences. I think because you had a lot of issues of like folks on the West Coast or folks on the East Coast complaining about like, oh man, I gotta watch my team play at 10 p.m. tonight. It's like, oh, well, if only there was this conference in the West Coast for all the West Coast teams to play in so that they can play each other. That would be awesome. So that the time
It
zone thing wouldn't be cooked. That'd be a great idea. Oh wait,
it doesn't make sense to you that a team on the Pacific Coast is in the Atlantic Coastal Conference? That makes perfect sense,
it's
right?
the All Coast Conference,
It's
dog.
the
Come on, come on.
oh, the ACC, the All Coast
It's the
Conference.
All
Good
Coast
call. Good
Conference now.
call.
They rebranded.
Yeah, man. And as much as it's fun to like watch Ohio State get to play Oregon and USC and all these teams,
Should be a
these new
non-conference
teams,
game.
go back to the West, bring the Pac-12 back, Pac-10, Pac-16, whatever you want to do. These conferences are getting too big, and it's bad for the other coaches have said it's bad for the other sports. Um, yeah, we need to that needs to fix, but
It'll find a way
they're
to
not paying us to fix it, or it would have been done by now.
it'll find a way to fix itself. But
Yeah.
it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It'll. I'm just hyped to watch whatever we see in this college football semifinals and then see in the finals and just like watch the thing play out because this is what we've asked for. This is the reason that we wanted a 12 team playoff to
This is what
get
we
a
got.
semifinals where it's the first ever college football semifinals with with no Alabama, no Ohio State, no Clemson, and no UGA.
Yeah.
In every single semifinal up until this point, you had at least one of those four teams there.
If not two or three of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. So
Um,
it's officially a new era in college football. I'm absolutely juiced. And Fizz, I appreciate you for tapping in for episode
Hey,
number two of
thank you for
TPSN,
having me.
dog.
Hopefully we keep this going, and we can talk more than just college football too. So
You know what I mean? Yeah,
we'll
dude.
we'll get
Oh,
into all
dude.
of it. This is
This was an emergency episode. If we're being honest,
yeah.
this was an emergency episode. Both of our teams got had some disappointment. We had to get into some stuff. We had to get into some landscape of college football. But next time, dog,
We didn't have
we
time
got
to just
some.
record an introduction. Hey guys, we ain't got time for that. There's too much to talk
There's too
about.
much going on, man. There's too much going on. But next time, we got some niche sports for you guys because, dog, it's Olympic season. It's Olympic and Paralympic season.
USA right behind you.
You see it behind me, man. It's Olympic and Paralympic season, and a little bit of emphasis. I said a little bit, a lot of emphasis on the Paralympic side of this because we got some Paralympians that me and Fizz really rock with. You guys are gonna find out about them.
There is
So
a Paralympics. People don't know
yeah,
about it. I didn't
yeah.
know about it, but there is a Paralympics.
Everybody
Lock
forgets
in.
about it. Everybody forgets about the Paralympics. It's right after the Olympics, but hey,
We'll remind them in the next episode
oh
too,
yeah, we
because they
got
might
you
not
guys in
make it
an
this far.
oh yeah, right. We got you guys in the next episode, but that's everything we got for you guys. Fizz, you got anything to say?
No, I'm happy to be here. This is fun. Can't wait for the next one.
You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully people listen to this.
Dude,
What's the typical podcast thing? Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you gotta
you
do.
know what I'm saying? Hey, man. Hey, I appreciate all of you guys for tapping in. It's the last time I'm gonna say this for the year, man, because we're rolling into lacrosse season, and I'm not gonna be saying this for a long time. But Roll Tide, I love my guys. It was a great year despite everything. Year two of a new head coach, 11
Yep.
wins. I'll take it, man. So,
Yep.
but that's everything we got for you guys in this one. I hope you guys tap back in with you with the Trailer Park Sports Network crew. This is a team effort now. It's no longer just
Yeah.
Will, it's Will and Fizz. So appreciate you guys for tapping in. We got definitely got some interviews with some players and stuff on the way. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.